Paul and James here from the new Sweet Science.
What is up, man?
We're going
Numbered
into
event week. That's what's up.
We're going into a numbered event, so we don't talk about the event that previously happened because we're too excited about, or we don't talk about it first. So we're going to talk about the numbered event and then eventually get to Max versus Kattar.
And then, do we ever talk about today's event?
Yes, hopefully.
Because no one will. Should we just give a prediction right now? So if somebody plays this episode before the event, we'll have a quick prediction.
I think Magny wins. You think Chiesa wins there?
Oh, we already did this, didn't we?
Yeah, we did it on the last episode.
Well, I black out every show. I'm not even drinking. I just black out due to excitement or something.
I like that. And I get excited for numbered events. UFC 257, McGregor versus Poirier 2, the rematch. Last week, we watched Max versus Kattar, and we ended up seeing Max versus Ortega. This week, we're going to watch Conor versus Poirier.
Can I guess?
Let's hear it.
We're going to end up seeing Conor versus Cerrone.
Conor versus Eddie Alvarez.
Damn it. That's my second guess.
That's what I think. Conor came out guns blazing versus Cerrone. I think he's going to lay off a little bit. So I think he'll come out more tactician-like.
Poirier is higher level than Cerrone, and he may not have like a wider arsenal of strikes, but he's a higher level boxer than
Plus,
Cerrone.
Cerrone's notoriously known for being a slow starter and everything. And yeah, there's much more risk versus Poirier. Can't just come out there like, whoa, can't just come out there like that against me, dog.
Yeah.
So you're picking Conor too?
Correct.
All right, next fight. Hooker versus no. Let me at least defend my portion of the prediction, so I'm not lumped into a Conor casual here. When it comes down to it, Poirier must outlast Conor in a striking contest, which is a tall feat. I've yet to see someone stand with Conor and get the best of him early. And I think if you do stand with him, you must have a Diaz chin. And
that's a great point. No one's got the best of Conor early on the feet.
He's too good. And
literally no one.
Poirier has a very good chin. I'm not sure it's Diaz-esque, but Johnson KO'd him. Hooker was getting to him early. I swear it was close to a finish in round 2. And most importantly, Conor has KO'd him. I understand it's all different, but Conor has a damn good chin, and he not only has the timing, but he has the chin where he's able to take more risks in those exchanges and hit you with that early power. And I don't believe Poirier has that instant power like Conor does. He has more cumulative power like Diaz did, but Diaz has got that noggin on him.
I think there's also an effect of Poirier has been in 3 straight high-level challenging fights. He took a lot of shots from Max.
And Conor has been in 3 straight court battles.
I was going to ask that might be the Z factor. So he fought Max, a lot of shots. Khabib didn't take his soul because Poirier came back and won his next fight in a 5-round exciting fight, man. Hooker Poirier was an all-timer, but again, he took a lot of strikes. And
if somebody takes your soul, can you be another person's soulmate, or is that out the window then?
Can they somehow give you your soul back? I don't know.
I mean, you have to have a soul. That person has to be a soulmate. You don't have a soul, so it's like you're out.
I started with no soul, so I'm the wrong guy to ask about this. So let me ask you, what is more of a kind of unknown variable? All right. A bigger pick in the fight. Poirier's last 3 fights, damage, high, a lot of shots taken, Khabib sucking the life from him, or Conor's accuser coming out and like suing him. Like that came out yesterday, I believe. It came out yesterday that somebody's suing him for millions of dollars.
I think, that I have
and
down.
And the third one too.
That's what I have down as the X factor is Conor's court case. You're cutting weight. Conor's big. He's got the McGregor fast. He's got those big shoulders, and he's always the weight cuss, the best you've ever been or anything like that. They're tough. And you're going through all that. And then the court case comes out of the blue. He's used to court cases, so maybe it's okay. He's got the legal team to take care of it. Don't worry about it, Conor. But you never know how much that could just stress you out a little bit. Will it make a difference? Probably not. Could it make a difference? I can't even calculate it. So that's why it's just the stupid X factor that I have.
Well, and the thing is, like, we always, maybe just Conor has, his family held down differently, but that I don't even know what the details are because I just whatever, man. Whatever happens. I can't even stress about it or worry about it. But if you have a family member or a spouse or a significant other or someone close to you that it's affecting them negatively, and then that's affecting you, that's where that could create some kind of fatigue on your mental. And let me just add like and I don't know when Embeddeds are filmed, but that comes out and right around the same time, there's an Embedded episode and Conor's not in it.
Ooh, I like this. Bella Tower 7 conspiracy, Frank. I like this.
So is he dealing with a little something?
So you specifically are talking about me in this case, because if somebody around me, negative energy, I can't handle that. And that would stress me out. I need the happiest people around me. I hire people to come in. I don't even want my friends and family. I hire hype men and my regular team also, my regular team to keep, me straight and narrow. And because that would wear on me if my wife, my significant other, whatever is like, oh, some woman comes out with everything, even though we don't know the details. Now, the second part, which is my lighter version, is you've watched Curb Your Enthusiasm and you know how Larry David, Cheryl says, I know, Larry, if you don't want to get in a relationship because you're worried I'm the only woman you'll ever sleep with again, if we're together for 10 years, I'll allow you to cheat once.
Yeah.
Well, Conor might have that but instead of 10 years, it's every 100 million you get, you're allowed to cheat once or something.
That's why he started proper 12, because that 100 million comes much more quickly then. If you're just fighting, you don't have that same recurring revenue as another type of business. Let me tell a quick classic Paul here, because I just want to the first thing in the hype man. When we were younger and single and more fun, and we were going out for the night, if the pregame didn't hit a certain level of excitement, that would ruin the night before we ever left the house. But on the flip side, sometimes the pregame goes so well, we don't leave till after midnight. And in Michigan, bars that close at 2. So there's always after hours too. I don't want to go down that path, but there'd be times where that pre-going out hype was so strong, we wouldn't get to the bar till 12:30, just before closing time.
The most important, everything, how people say, they're going into the fight, I did everything I could have done, my diet, my training, everything. That for me is the pregame. That's the most important, where you got to get the right people around you. You got to have the right, spend the money on the right things. Your nutrition, alcohol, whatever is important. And that's just my equivalent. Yeah. So every aspect of my life, it follows the same rules.
Let me circle back here to my
same with foreplay. Go ahead.
The Poirier. So Poirier has been in 60 plus minutes of fighting, 62. Quick math, but yeah, I think it's 62 since the start of 2019. Conor has been in the cage 40 seconds. We always talk about guys falling off, and in a way, Conor's inactivity is going to help him prolong that, I believe. He hasn't taken a hard punch since probably Nate Diaz. I know Khabib knocked him down, but that was more of a didn't see it coming type of thing.
Do we say Floyd?
I completely forgot about that. That just slipped my mind completely.
Or actually, in Conor's mind, he didn't take any shots. He was just tired.
Isn't the official result TKO fatigue?
No, Conor won the fight because, see, what happened is Floyd left the arena and he didn't attend the post-fight ceremony. Therefore, Conor, it's been reversed, and Conor is now the WBC champ.
I can't, sir, there's so many loopholes to keep Conor on top. I can't keep track of all of them. But I do believe he is some kind of boxing champion.
Best chance to win for Poirier, I think, is Conor's stamina. I'm going to get back to your point right here. You know, Conor, and he's more bigger, whatever. He's a thoroughbred. He's got fast twitch, whatever kind of stuff you want to come out with. He'll get tired. He can last. He's tough, but he's going to tire out. He's going to fall off. And I'm convinced it's always midway into the second round. It's like his molecular clock. Now, last fight, Poirier was more emotional, allegedly. Gun in his head, all this shit, whatever.
His last fight versus Conor?
No. Yeah. Conor only fought for 40 seconds in the last 10 years. Maybe Conor's more emotional this time and not like upset. Like you're a husky who's always in the house and you need to be let outside. You're an outside dog. Like, you got to be getting out there only that amount of time, even though I don't think he will, but the tables could be turned here where Conor comes out hot. And he's got to be itching to fight. He wanted to fight 3 times in 2020, wants to fight 3 times in 2021.
You know, and he's hitting that pivotal age, man. He's 32. And maybe the layoffs, like, this could be his last run. Like, we don't see a lot of lightweights make runs at 34 and 35. There's a weird balance between amount of time you take off versus fight activity, and certain factors start to determine the effectiveness of them. One of them could just be injuries. Maybe a layoff is good. Some kind of mental fatigue. You got stuff going on in your life. You just lost your love for it, whatever. I think the layoff will probably be good for him versus Poirier's. Poirier's starting to take a little bit of damage over time. So I agree with what you said. And like, even like, I feel like before that was Eddie and Gaethje. And I believe there was damage he took in both those fights too. I mean, it's been a long time since those fights occurred.
Yeah, he did.
I'm pretty sure those were a lot of back and forth exchanges.
Yes. What's weird about this fight is that we have 2 great fighters. Both are as exciting as it gets. Both are must-see TV. I mean, I love Poirier. And if it weren't due to Khabib, both wouldn't have lost since 2016. And you would think this would be my most anticipated fight based on, some of these details, but it's not, because I feel so strongly about this outcome. I think Conor is just like, Poirier has very, very good stand-up. Conor is special.
So to that point, and this kind of shocked me, but I was scrolling through IG and came across Ariel saying something. And he basically said that all of the hoopla that Conor creates has caused a large segment of fans to not see how good he is. And he said Conor is one of the most underrated fighters inside of the cage in the history of the sport. And when you're so polarizing, people will hate you no matter what evidence exists. This occurs in politics all the time. They're blinded by their dislike for you that they can't see what's actually occurring in front of them. So I don't know if that's true or not, and I don't really care if it is, but it kind of ties into you saying Poirier's good, Conor's special.
So
it's different.
I don't know. I want to see if I can find out. I don't know what episode it was on, but sorry for the long thing here.
And my mind went blank. So I'm trying, like, what can I say to fill this empty space? And my mind completely turned out there.
It's totally, I apologize, but it's a very early episode. And this is one of our effects. I mean, this is a long time ago. It has to be well over 100 episodes ago. So here we go. The polarization versus data effect, currently the Conor phenomenon. When the polarization of a fighter exceeds their talent, skill, and accomplishments, there can be a tendency to underestimate their abilities due to relative thinking.
So let me actually build on that too as well, because it kind of comes into the not dominance effect, but just an effect of relativity. So when Conor boxed Floyd, my immediate reaction is, wow, Conor's just been fighting bums in MMA. His boxing isn't very good, because I know like the fight went 9 rounds or whatever, but to me, Floyd was like just exponentially superior. He looked so much quicker, so much more natural in there. Like it wasn't even two guys in the same stratosphere in that ring together. That's how I saw it, at least. And I came out thinking, Conor maybe is not as good as I thought. So I bet people who already dislike Conor have an effect from watching that as I did. Like I've never thought he was overrated or anything, but I did come out thinking like, he's actually kind of slow. Maybe he's not that fast twitch. No, he's just slow compared to Floyd, a guy who's been boxing for over 20 years and has 50 pro fights. Like, yes, he looks slow relative, but that's just because the fluidity of Floyd's, it's all instinctive at this point. He's been boxing for so long. So I bet that occurred. And I thought Cerrone had a much greater shot at beating Conor than you did. And I think it was the Floyd boxing match that led me to think that in retrospect.
Like, I just thought how Cerrone is going to get utterly annihilated here. Poirier, Conor's got to use the tactical aspect a little bit. He can't just come in with that physicality. And something from a Hooker interview. And Dan Hooker said Poirier is surprisingly thick. He doesn't look that heavy, but he said he was able to see one of Poirier's weigh-in or weights after, they kind of monitor them throughout the weigh-in,
because if you gain more than a certain percentage on fight day, you can't fight. Isn't that correct?
I can't remember. I feel like it was, but I don't even know anymore.
You can't lose a certain amount during fight week. That's what it is.
But he said he looked and he saw that Poirier was 83 kilos, which is 183 pounds. And he was like, damn.
That's 28 pounds.
So
if you weigh a pound over.
Poirier might punching power maybe to back off Conor. Conor can't maybe muscle him in some certain situations as much, gives Poirier a chance. Now, if Poirier comes out, like Poirier is so freaking good. He just happens to be so good at the one aspect that Conor is just special. But I hope it's an exciting fight. And at times I do get sick of Conor and want him to lose. I don't as of right now, but I don't know what true feelings come out until the fight is occurring in front of my, sometimes you didn't realize how bad or much you wanted someone to win or lose until you're right there. Sometimes like Ankalev's last fight is the most recent one I could think of. I'm like, oh my God, like my heart's racing. I like want this guy to win so bad. I love him. He's my soulmate.
Let me share some quick math. So if Poirier weighed 156, he lost 14.76% of his body weight. From 183 to 156, 14.76%. And that is a good amount of weight to lose. People say like, oh, don't lose more than 10%. Obviously that, kind of slaps that theory in the face. But yeah, the thing is with Conor is when he's active and he's not over the top like he was pre-Eddie, he's more enjoyable to watch and listen to, and he's a good character for the sport.
I like him when he talks about Khabib. Even though it was so stupid, it's just like comedy. You don't know that line until you toe it or cross it. Sometimes you're like, all right, I'm always testing shit out. And he's like, oh, Khabib, he didn't show up for the ceremony. And then sometimes he's fucking around. I like that. Like, come in there and convince. Even though that one was ridiculous. Hey, he missed on one. You try on other shit. And the Conor you're talking about is who I call Big Irish Balls Conor. That's the Conor. 3 buttons Conor.
He lost me.
Too many buttons open. It's just too much. So I like him here.
Yeah. And he's a character. He's entertaining. He hasn't fought really any of the top lightweights except for Khabib. So if he gets more active, there's a lot of exciting matchups there. He's only fought one current top 10 lightweight.
I don't know. I think the court system is up there in the pound for pound rankings, and he has a lot of fights versus them. So he's just fighting outside of other organizations, and maybe people aren't seeing him. But he's getting somewhat wins there, I think.
I would love to see Conor versus Max because Max has a hell of a chin and he has the endurance.
He's got a chin on him. Like
he's very Diaz-esque.
One little side note, Conor's previous fights with Diaz may have helped him with future left-handers, including Poirier. Let's go into the co-main. The UFC debut of Michael Chandler facing Dan Hooker. Hooker's coming off the loss to Poirier. Chandler's coming off a first-round KO over Ben Henderson. What are your thoughts, James?
So Chandler last fought when Henderson had the UFC belt, and is he the one who dethroned Henderson?
No, that was RDA. Wait, who was it? Anthony Pettis? No, RDA. Bendo. Hendo's son,
Bendo. Who dethroned him? I have no idea who it was.
Why am I having a hard time remembering this?
Because didn't he beat Edgar twice and lose his next fight?
Was it?
Pettis did become lightweight champion at some point. Maybe it was Pettis, but I cannot remember who it was, man.
Oh, what am I talking about? And I picked Pettis because Pettis submitted him in the first round. He had that armbar on him.
I don't know what to make of this fight. And I enjoy Hooker a lot. The thing is with Chandler, he last beat a guy who wouldn't be in the lightweight rankings.
Damn.
In UFC.
Come on, top 15?
Not a shot. He's just a guy well past his prime. He peaked versus Edgar. And then he tried welterweight out, and then he went to Bellator and lost his first fight there. He's kind of been up and down over there. I don't think he'd be a top 15 guy. But you get that guy from another org who comes in, there's not a lot of how do I word this? Like tape on people fighting people in the UFC ranks. It's a much deeper division.
Yep.
So you're getting, I think, more effective tape to assess, for a game plan. Whereas in Bellator, they're not fighting the top level guys every fight. So the tape isn't, it just, there's less, I don't know how to even word this, but there's
I think you're saying it right.
You get what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like Chandler's going to come in even though he's fought in the second org, but relatively unknown. He's been resting. When did he last fight, man? It's been a minute, hasn't it?
Well,
did he fight this year?
Let me look here, but
he hasn't fought in a minute, man.
I like that aspect, the unknown, where he's coming in. I'm pretty excited for this fight. I just want to see what happens. I mean, I have some analysis of it. That was August. Oh, he fought in August.
Yeah. So okay.
Not that long.
My COVID time frame is so off. I have no. Oh, I can't even frame time.
Time anymore. Dilation.
So okay, so that was recent, but he's still a relative unknown. He's 34. I feel like he's the kind of like he'll come in and get one, and then when you turn it around, he starts fighting those top guys over and over again. He's gonna get clipped.
So he's gonna get the Ben Askren. What if he comes out? But Ben Askren's first fight versus Lawler, it was crazy. I thought he was finished. Then he comes with like that bulldog choke. It was controversial. It was so exciting. That was such a great UFC debut.
100%. And I'm hoping we get the same thing here because that would be fantastic. So I don't have a strong conviction. Hooker is coming off of a razor close fight. Same thing as Poirier, man.
Twice.
5-round war. The Felder fight too was the same thing. That fight was unbelievable. I thought Felder got that one. I thought Hooker got the Poirier one, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever. It is what it is. So he had 2 legit wars in 2020. The guy delivers exciting fights, man. Now, I think Hooker's camp is one of the best in the world. It's hard to argue with the results. You have Volkanovski over there, Adesanya. So I don't know, man. I'm hoping for excitement. Is Chandler a guy who's going to come in there and wet blanket you? Tell me. I don't know, man. I don't watch a lot of Bellator.
No, he's not going to. It's going to be exciting. He prefers to stand initially, and he does keep it pretty simple. I went back. I mean, I watched Chandler, but I went back and definitely watched tape, especially for numbered events. I mean, he stays on the outside range. He feints in and out. He tries to control the exchanges. He just more darts in with like 1 or 2 punch attacks.
He's Chad Mendes.
Nothing too fancy. And then he'll incorporate takedowns, kind of just where it happens naturally. I feel like he doesn't force it. He tries to, he's training with Hooft all the time. He's trying to KO your ass. And
Hooker's got a 4-inch reach on him.
One thing, he reminds me of Eddie Alvarez and that he can fight in a completely exhausted state. And sometimes it's pretty advantageous in this sport.
So he's got a 4-inch reach advantage. Hooker does. He's 4 inches taller.
I think range is going to be the important factor. And Hooker uses kicks. So that extends the range.
I could almost see, and I'm trying to, this fight has occurred before in the UFC, but I can almost see Hooker's getting the better of him. And then at one point, Chandler advancing, big overhand punch. You catch him while Hooker's chin is up and you put him out. I can see that occurring.
He loves that right hand, and he has it where he throws it straight or kind of throws it like an overhand. And you're right. Hooker's kicks, Chandler, when you're turned like boxing style, you expose that leg kick. And I feel like Chandler can get hit with those. He's the one who suffered the first stanky leg with the peroneal nerve.
That's right.
and perineal.
Not to be confused with perineum. Two different things.
Yes, I like one. Well, I like both massage, but it's same to me. Chandler is good with punching head movement, but I feel like sometimes he lacks some defensive head movement. And Hooker himself is pretty difficult to finish, man, especially early. And he can fight off his back. He has some submissions in the UFC, but I think two techniques could make the difference in this fight. One is Hooker's knees. Chandler is much shorter. He does like to go to the body. He likes that overhand right where you kind of got to dip your head. And Hooker has an excellent long range knee. Like there's some guys who just naturally throw it well, and he's one of them. The second one are the leg kicks I'm talking about with that long boxing stance. And that could set up, starts bringing that hand down, and that could set up a head kick. You should always head kick people that are shorter than you. Chandler's wrestling, I'm not sure how much he'll attempt, how effective he'll be. I think that's a thing where I'm looking to see how it plays out.
I have a belief that camp can defend wrestling as well as any other camp. Like Adesanya, who's taking him down? Anybody? No.
And Hooker is slightly awkward. There's just something slightly awkward about, his the way he does things, and that can provide some difficulties. I think the X factor for this fight is the UFC effect. Fighters have mentioned it. Coming from other orgs, you're coming in and you just feel a little bit off, a little bit different. No, they're not scared. It's just they've said it. We've seen it. We'll see what happens.
Think about it. Like NFL playoffs are right now. It's like you're playing in the regular season and then you go to the Super Bowl.
I like that.
It's very comparable, man. More eyeballs are on you. There's more media about it. More people care about it.
Oh,
there's more on the line.
Especially you're surrounded around the media of this event. The
right.
Conor Fight Island, first, numbered event of 2021. And I will say, I really enjoyed all of Hooker and Chandler's interviews. They're refreshing. They're authentic. And I like them even more after this week.
Yeah. Yeah. I find myself leaning toward a Hooker. He's a younger guy. I feel like he has more in front of him than Chandler. That fight with Poirier, even though it's a loss, it's not really a stain on his resume. He comes back and wins this one. He could be in line for a title shot relatively quickly, man. Like, the lightweight division, Gaethje's got coming off a loss. You got Conor and Poirier. Someone's getting canceled here. You got Charles Oliveira. Ferguson's been canceled. Hooker wins this fight, man. Maybe it's him versus Charles. Maybe he's next in line for a title challenge, I should say. So, but it is exciting to watch a guy with new blood. Because if Chandler wins, he's most likely going to get the old, red carpet right to a title shot.
Well, yeah, and Chandler
plays out.
Like how you talked about Chad Mendez, those shorter guys like that. I also said Johnny Hendricks for those couple fights. Khabib, another guy, their footwork. They can get in so fast and get inside your range. Chandler has looked so fast. I thought in his last fight versus Henderson, he just looked slow to me, but that's just kind of like just a weird effect that's going on. If he can get inside, and I think Mixon is wrestling enough, he'll have a chance, but I'm picking Hooker. Sweet stat. Michael Chandler's last NCAA championship wrestling match was a loss to Gregor Gillespie. My man. All right. So we're done with that fight. You're choosing Hooker?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am a dick rider of that camp.
And I don't blame you, especially because I am a massive Volkanovski dick rider. I might have been one of the first, like right after like his brothers or something. Can I just say, I mean, is this real? I almost have to double check this right here. Just because you never know. But Jessica she was KO'd in a title fight, then misses weight in her next 2 fights, one of them by 5 pounds. And she is rewarded with the co-main event on a Conor card? Is she banging Dana?
So
how? Or is this for Joanne Calderwood?
This card should have 1 fight added to the early prelims and 2 added to the prelims. And it should be a 2 fight main card. I know. Are you coming in with Hebus?
Yeah, you know how I'm a Hebus. Now, what if it was Hebus and Watterson who it was originally scheduled to be?
That would be different.
Because you are sexually attracted to Karate Hottie? Is that why?
I'm partial to Hebus, actually.
You prefer a lesbian?
I didn't know she was a lesbian, but now I guarantee she wins. I'm a lesbian dick rider.
I thought it was a pretty funny joke, especially in that it doesn't matter. But yeah, so we're past the Jeskai fight. The Hebus. I mean, I am a fan. Am I a fan girl of Hebus or am I a fan boy? Does it change? Is it just who you are or who you're being a fan of?
I think it's who you are.
Okay, so I'm a fan.
But you wouldn't be a dick rider. What would you be?
What if we talked about this before with Nunes. Is it a clit rider? Is it, you just say dick rider? I think it encompasses it. What if I'm a pansexual? Then I'm just a fan of them. Fan.
I have no idea what that even means.
A pan. I think it's someone who identifies as I don't know, necrophiliac or something. Just something, I don't know. It's just one of those things.
If you Peter Pan, I know that's the only Pan I'm actually have any kind of knowledge in.
The character or the peanut butter?
Both.
Smoothie, creamy or chunky?
You know, I wasn't a crunchy kick for a long time, but I feel like crunchy only works on a sandwich, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, whereas creamy works on literally everything. Literally.
Including
everything.
A body.
Correct.
Yes, we agree. Hebus originally scheduled against Karate Hottie, now Marina Rodriguez. She is tough. Never been finished. She has 1 loss, a split decision to Carla Esparza, which was her last fight. And then she has 2 draws in the UFC, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Calvillo and Marcos. She's just one of those tough fighters. But I think Hebus is special. I wouldn't doubt if she becomes a champion. She might be my Ankalev. Maybe that's my dream couple. I don't know.
I'm right in step with you, man. I think there can be an effect. I think this occurred with I think his name is something. He fought Benel Dariush Hernandez. He came in.
Oh, Alexander the Great.
Okay, he came in late notice and finished him, right? So I think there can be an effect when you lose your opponent, but that's always retro to me. Like, oh, if Hebus wins, there wasn't an effect. If Rodriguez does, maybe there was.
That's funny.
That I'm leaning Hebus. She's also won a bunch in a row. You know, she's on an upward trajectory. You know, Rodriguez, her last 5 fights, she has 2 draws and a loss. So but like you said, she's tough.
That's what I was saying before on Hebus when she was fighting Paige Van Zandt. I was like, oh God, Dana wants Paige Van Zandt to not have negotiation power, huh? He says, oh, you're getting Hebus. Someone who people don't know as well, but she's ridiculously good.
He just gave PVZ her walking papers, like literally. That was like her pink slip.
Yeah.
She should have come in with the pink slip and give it to her at the weigh-ins.
And then Paige should have came in with a pink thong.
Correct.
Okay. Ottman, Azader. Man, come on, man.
I think this fight will steal the show.
All I can see is, against the Steam. He's facing the Steamroller Favola, right? Yeah. All I can see is Ottoman Empire, and he's an undefeated prospect, 13-0, 2-0 in the UFC. Both fights, performance of the night.
Steamroller Favola has one of my top 5 names.
You've always liked that name. I like it, but not as much as you. And then
real quick, what's like a docudrama? There's
Narcos.
A docudrama on Netflix, and it's about the origin of the Ottoman Empire. How they took down Constantinople.
Yeah, so the Byzantine Empire.
So I highly, highly enjoyed it, and I recommend it.
All right. Shout out to Suleiman the Magnificent, or Mehmed the Conqueror, who I think breached the walls of Istanbul.
Do you know how long the army was at the walls of Constantinople and then they eventually defeated them?
I mean, it's making me, besieging castles and stuff like that happened a lot. You're making me, by the way you ask the questions, making me think longer. So I'm going to say a year and 4 months, 16 months.
I completely forgot there. So full disclosure.
Okay.
I thought it was longer, but
I would have guessed.
Give me your original.
I would have guessed probably 6 months.
This says 55 days.
See, I don't have that, especially all that like military, some more like specific strategic stuff is kind of a long time ago for me. So I'm just a shit guess. All right. And then speaking of Jessica I, Khalil Roundtree is fighting Marcin Prachnio. Prachnio is 0-3 in the UFC, and he has been finished in the first round all 3 times.
Whose stepson is he?
Who's he banging? Sean Shelby? How good is Marcin Prachnio at oral? That might have been inappropriate. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm like, I don't know.
I wish I was as good as him at oral.
So Roundtree, that's the pink slip fight right there. Roundtree lost 2 out of 3.
Wait, the pink slip for who? Marcin?
Whoever
what
loses.
If Marcin gets to the first round again? Oh, you're saying for both? Okay.
Whoever loses gets the pink slip.
All right. I'm done with this card, James.
Correct.
Now, for your favorite part of the show, fight announcements and denouncements. And we have had a phenomenal week of fight announcements.
Oh, and I don't know any of them.
Phenomenal. And I'm not saying that sarcastically, okay?
I think you might be.
No, I'm not. Rank these 7 fight announcements.
Okay.
Number 1, Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou 2.
When is that?
UFC 260 in March. Number 2, the co-main of UFC 260, Volkanovski versus Ortega. Number 3. Oh, speaking of number 3, the trilogy, Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev, March 13th.
Number 7.
Number 4, Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Cyril Gane. Kaboom, baby.
When is that?
Fight on the Edwards Khamzat card, March 13th. Also on the fight night, March 13th, the return of Ryan Hall versus Dan Hige.
That's same night, March 13th?
Yes. But you know all three of those fights aren't happening, right?
This is true.
Because Leon Edwards and Khamzat is going to be like Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta. Jack. I just fucking just start filling names in with other stuff. I think
I feel like they call him Jack. Like, in the movie at least.
It was weird. I didn't know that people who were like called John were called Jack or something. Like people called John F. Kennedy Jack.
As a kid, I thought there were two of them. As a kid, I was so confused because you'd be reading like a school textbook and they'd use the both names interchangeably. I always thought it was two characters until I reached college.
Well, just like Richard and Dick, James and Jim.
Although like John and Jack is weirder to me, but I hear you.
I don't know. It's just the two different names is kind of weird. Like just call him by his fucking name. It's not even like a variation of it. It's just like a different name. Like, oh, Paul, oh, you're Steve now. I was weirded out when people around Cousin Frank started calling him Tom. I'm like, who the fuck is Tom? Is Tom even in your name? Like, I don't even think Tom is in his name. I could be wrong, but I don't think his middle name is Thomas.
Frank Thomas Camphor.
I don't know.
That sounds like it fits to me, man.
It does, and I could be completely wrong. I mean, I was too buzzed for that like 2 or 3 years. All right, the next one. Jon Jones will fight the winner of Stipe Ngannou.
No way, that's official?
Per Dana White's Sportsnet interview. So, unofficial. Next one. Nate Diaz versus Justin Gaethje via Dana White's big smile on his face when asked. For those who don't listen to the show, when fights are announced like in the works, it's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. So when fights start getting announced via Dana White's big smile on his face when asked about it, I just, it's almost so over the top that I enjoy it.
Yeah. So this will sound crazy, but I'm number one is Ryan Hall versus Ige. I want Ryan Hall so badly to make a run without throwing many strikes.
He's the strikeless wonder.
It's just different.
Only wheel kicks.
He strikes so infrequently. His Wikipedia page has him listed as a grappler instead of a fighter. This is true, unless they've changed it recently, but this is true. Every other person in the UFC, it has their name with fighter. His, it says grappler.
All right, number 2 then.
Number 7 is Edwards vs. Khamzat. I have fatigue with that fight, man.
Who doesn't?
Oh, man, the rest of these. My number 2 is Diaz versus Gaethje. I think Diaz is a character, even though he's not my cup of tea. He's a character, and also I appreciate how he came to the defense against Jake Paul, even though it gave it credence. But he's that
You
guy.
mean when he came in Conor's defense versus Jake Paul? Okay.
He'll put a pint bottle over someone's head if it helps his boy. Mm-hmm. And in this scenario, MMA is his boy. So he came to the defense of an enemy because his love for mixed martial arts.
I get it.
I appreciate that.
All right.
He's a character who is good for the sport. And Gaethje is the human highlight reel. Or is that Eddie Alvarez nickname that he left with, his self-proclaimed nickname? What was Eddie Alvarez's self-proclaimed nickname?
King of the Underground. King of the Underground.
He had one where it was like King of Damage, or he does a lot of damage, or Master of Disaster.
Oh, because they beat each other. It was the Most Violent Man.
Thank you. Yes. Gaethje, I feel like, has taken that. That could be his new nickname in the UFC.
Gaethje or John Wayne Gacy could either get that.
I've actually seen a movie about that guy, Bizarro. Hashtag clown costume.
Okay.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where am I at? Number 6 is Jairzinho versus Gane, just due to the name power of the other fights.
Okay.
No disrespect, but I feel like all of these announcements here indicates a return to normalcy for 2021. That's what this is. So this ranking system is the number 1 all-time ranking I've had to do on the show.
Oh, I like this. Rank the rankings.
Due to the return of normalcy for this year. Volkanovski Ortega is interesting to me because I feel like, I don't know, and I know Ortega looked better in his last fight versus, I believe, Korean Zombie, but my memory is that of a goldfish.
You're correct.
But, that was a long way off. He's an interesting character, man, in terms of like he has one punch power and he has one grip submission.
Mm-hmm.
But Volkanovski's so good. And people think Max beat him. Does that create a chip that adds some, like people talk about motivation and I feel like it's misunderstood in a sense, but a chip on your shoulder is what motivates you when you're running at a 15-degree incline on a treadmill for 5 minutes. That last 15 to 30 second push is the chip.
So what kind of chip is that for you? You're the chip monster, not me.
I don't have a chip on my shoulder. That's why I'm not successful.
Well, what chip are you eating right now? What's your go-to chips?
This is going to be boring, but actually a friend of mine, and I haven't bought them yet, but you triggered my memory. He tipped me off to this, this chip. It's like this bean. I don't know what the bean's even called. I wrote it down somewhere. So I'll report back on it in a future episode and bore the listeners.
So it's a bean. It's a bean chip.
He says they're amazing.
Is it like a tortilla chip?
Bag. What's that?
Tortilla chip or something? Or
it looked kind of like the shape of an oyster cracker to me. Like a small kind of hexagonal shape.
Okay.
Like that's how it kind of resembled. So I haven't eaten yet, but that's a chip of my future. Okay. So number 3 is Jones versus the Stipe Ngannou winner. Number 3, because it makes sense. Jones is the GOAT. Everybody else changes weight classes and gets an immediate title shot. Obviously, he deserves one too. If based on that, and those metrics or those variables. However, I like the idea of him getting a fight first to get used to his body. But then there's a sense you could get knocked off. You go in there versus Curtis Blades.
Yep.
And you just face a bigger, stronger dude who can take you down for more time than you're winning exchanges or catch you with the big overhand right. You run the risk of that super fight never happening. And I think also this Jones versus the winner is beautifully played by Dana as a motivation to Stipe Ngannou. Like they're looking through the lens of dollar signs.
All right.
It's like, I wish there was an emoji that had dollar sign eyeballs instead of hearts. You can have both, but give me the dollar sign eyeballs too.
So should Jones be the ring card boy for that fight? And even put him closer to it.
You put him right there in the front cage or the front side of the cage. I love that idea. So right. I don't know where I'm at or who I've ranked where, but then behind Jones versus the winner is Volkanovski Ortega.
Okay.
You know what? And put someone cage side. Then who's the next featherweight in line? Zabit?
I don't know anymore.
Kattar would have jumped the line if he won versus Max. I believe that based on the inactivity of Yair and Zabit.
He could have.
Zombie lost his last fight.
I'm only going to rank one, and that's number 1, Stipe versus Ngannou 2. It was the right thing. It goes with the sport. How you said, the return to normalcy. Ngannou needed that fight. You gotta, it's right. And I'm glad it happened.
And like, here's
my
the risk
heart, my heart one, or the one that gets me hard is Jairzinho and Cyril Gane. I can't wait for that fight. I want to watch Cyril Gane again.
Yeah. You know, the thing with, and I feel like if Ortega beats Volkanovski, you're going to see Max fight him next in a rematch. That is a mortal lock. But if Volkanovski wins, who the fuck does he fight? The featherweights stopped fighting in the top 5. They've given up fighting.
It's the Yair and Zabit are Khamzat and Leon Edwards. Tony Khabib, you know? Yeah, Zabit would be the next one. He's number 3. Those they need to just, everybody keep fighting. Come on, man. Pick it up.
And you can lose and make your way back. So back to Ngannou Stipe for a second is, I feel like if he didn't get this title shot, do you burn that bridge to such a degree he leaves for another organization when his contract ends?
Who?
Like, have you burned that bridge? If Ngannou doesn't get this rematch for Stipe, like, would that be the straw that broke the camel's back and Ngannou leaves the UFC eventually due to him getting shortchanged? Because he's clearly the most deserved heavyweight.
I don't think he would. I think he's still young enough where he wants to be the champion so bad he would just keep fighting. And I think he's ridiculously I don't want to say nice guy, but he won't kick up too much dust. Sometimes those guys get a certain age or a certain personality where they want to just kick shit up. And, you know, I don't picture him like that. So I think he would have stayed. I would have been okay with him leaving. I was actually going to file a lawsuit or call the cops on the UFC if they didn't give Ngannou the title shot. I was so terrified that he was going to get passed over for Jon Jones. Jon Jones is moving to heavyweight, but Jon Jones needs some time or whatever.
You know, as was I. I think Jones waiting for the winner is the way to do it. Don't let him get the first shot, in his first fight, because he's been the GOAT for so long. But Ngannou was so deserved in this position. If he didn't get it, it would have left a poor taste in my mouth.
2 other extra fights that I didn't even put into there were Frankie Edgar, Corey Sandhagen, and Jamel Hill and Paul Craig.
Those will be fun.
Yes.
Is Paul Craig Bear Jew?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's go back to this past Saturday. UFC on ABC, Holloway versus Kattar.
So see if you can guess this.
Oh, I like this.
Watching the main event, a former NBA player kept coming to mind.
Watching the main event?
Main event.
Okay.
X versus Calvin. From our heyday, an NBA player from our heyday when we watched the sport a lot kept coming to mind. I couldn't stop thinking about this guy.
Was it because of performance or looks?
Because of what one of the fighters was doing.
I need more of a hint.
Because of what Max was doing in the fight. He kept doing something throughout the fight, especially in the later rounds, that reminded me of an NBA player from the 90s and the early 2000s.
Can't be Jordan, is it?
No. Okay. Want to go one level?
Yeah. All I can come up with is Ottoman Empire. That's it. I don't know. It's not good.
He kept doing something with his finger.
Dikembe
Mutombo. Whenever he defended the rim and blocked your shot, he would wave his finger like, no. And Max kept waving his finger throughout the fight, man. And I deep dive Mutombo. The guy played like 18 years. He's like made a bunch of all-star games early on. He had like 9 all-star games for the Hawks.
I couldn't get Max's hair out of my head. That influenced me. So I'm just like hair. And I can't even think of anybody with hair.
One more thing also came to mind too, and help me out with this because I don't want to butcher it. But what is like, there's like, not a perception, but it's like a Mexican toughness, like for boxers, like there's like a nickname for it, isn't it?
Huevos. No, that's balls. I don't think they just say Mexican heart, Mexican spirit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is Boston our version of that? Because I feel like Kattar displayed a spirit or toughness that you don't see often in MMA fights.
It could be.
What do you take 9,000 significant?
I just think it's asshole Irish to be, I'm more Scotch Irish, so we're hillbilly-esque, but maybe there is. It was, as the fight was in round 4, I was just thinking, wow, he is tough. I thought he was going to get finished, and he held off and he fired back.
I was convinced, certain we were going to see a standing stoppage, which we've seen him. I feel like we've seen him more recently than we have earlier on in the MMA, life cycle, but we've seen them recently where a guy's not throwing back, but he would wing a haymaker. I feel like just before Herb was going to step in.
And you're right. If he would have hit the ground, Herb was so close. He was inching in there. And then, you're right. If he would have hit the ground, it would have stopped. Now, can you guess when I knew the fight was over? And don't say when it was signed.
Okay. For my own perception, during that first round, I was like, this is going to be a tall hill to climb for Kattar. Like I've said this before. I almost want to make it. I want to start where it's almost like a segment or whatever. The exact moment I knew it was over, and I know in MMA anything can happen. The fucking bottle could come out and hit you, like kind of like Jeremy Stevens versus Jair. Talking about Mexican spirit, they like throwing bottles inside the octagon. Those damn hooligans. Or those soccer fans. I can't remember. When I knew the fight was over was right at the 3-minute mark left in round 1. Yeah. Max came in. Kattar countered him with a beautiful bullseye right hand. Like he popped back, he planted, and he launched. He crushed Max right on the chin, turned his damn head. And the broadcast didn't mention it. The broadcast didn't see it. Max didn't see it. And, Kattar wins with, via big shots, not accumulation. And if he's unable to finish Max with a shot like that, when he's at his most fresh, right then and there, I was like, it's over. Or just like you, it's going to be a tough hill to climb. But it was right at that exact moment is when it just turned the other way for me. So I don't know if it was that strict, but I had the exact same thought. I told Kristen, I'm like, the only way Kelvin wins is by finish. Like Max turned it on in that first round more than he normally does. And usually he peaks in the 4th round like he did in this fight. That's kind of his, or reverse, the guy gets more tired in the 3rd round, but like Ortega and this fight was like a 4th round peak. Aldo, who wears down more quickly, was the 3rd round peak, but he redlines you trying to put you out, man.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't know how Kelvin can possibly win this fight on points. And he has to finish him.
Kelvin, before I talked about it, he gets hit too much. And Max is going to come in there and hit him. He gets hit. He likes to cover up and counter. He doesn't necessarily move defensively. He's good at countering, but he covers up a little bit too much for me, which is kind of what Overeem does a little bit too much. Max he came out that last Volkanovski fight with the same veracity and vigor. But Volkanovski moves, man. He moves constantly. He mixes it up. You can't just step in there like that. He makes you miss and stuff. So this Max with hair is got me excited.
And me too. And I'm buying into the sparring aspect because
you mean that he doesn't spar hard, because correct. He definitely spars. I hear him talk about it in interviews.
Yeah. I guess he just, like he said post-fight, like you only have one brain, let's preserve it.
Yeah.
Like he's done enough hard sparring and fighting that there's a muscle memory thing. Like if you just keep doing it, you keep doing it. By the way, I have 2 more questions for you.
Yeah, he don't want to be shoot the box. And some of those Hawaii, I remember back in the BJ Penn days watching those guys, they would just fight. That's how they sparred. They would just fight, have a full-blown fight in there. But go ahead.
All right. I have 2 more questions. Number 1 is, did you notice this? And if you did, do you like it as much as I do? But throughout the card, really, Hardy is on his feet. What he is so fucking excited and pumped, man, to watch those guys in there or girls going at it. And he's like, if you watch everybody around the cage, everyone's looking at a monitor. Dana is, the announcers are. I think DC was actually watching the fight a little bit, but most people are watching the monitor. Hardy's on 2 feet watching this fight like he's in there, man. And I don't know, like it gives me, I feed off his energy and it makes me more excited too.
Okay. I do feel like it's authentic, so I like it. I'm somewhat impartial to it. When he got into that little tiff with Herb Dean, I was okay with it because I'll allow some wiggle room for emotion. You know, me sometimes I'm like, this is bullshitting. And that excitement. I guess I'm somewhat just impartial to it. What I don't like is how when the broadcasters are close to each other and every knockout, they know they're being recorded. So they got to go, oh, and start hitting each other because they want that meme to go around again. Yeah. That's what I don't like.
Yeah. So I guess some of that where they're
I guess I've turned your point into negative. Sorry. Go ahead. What?
There probably is some of that. Like this is, something.
I'm not saying that's Dan. I'm not saying that's what Dan is doing. I'm saying what I don't like the other people do.
Oh, yeah. No,
because I haven't seen Dan do it.
Rogan and Cormier leaning back in their chair, doing it right now. And there is like, I don't want to go too down this rabbit hole, but like if you Cormier see something gets a reaction, your brain's going to make a mental note of that. And it's going to increase that you do it again, or even to a greater degree to get that same reaction. Like we love reactions. That's a lot of our antics are to create some kind of reaction. That's just, I think, human nature. Okay, last question for you.
Somewhat, and then you're over that threshold, what I call a dancing monkey. But go ahead.
So I wrote this down as a statement, but I'm going to ask it to you as a question instead. Because whenever they show the pre-fight tail of the tape in a Max fight, they always highlight his opponent's reach advantage. Yet in this fight, Max's range seemed out of this world. And so my question to you is like, for a guy who has a below average reach, how does he use range so effectively?
Well, you used to always call Max T-Rex arms.
Yeah, and it still fits.
Yeah.
Like, that's a legit nickname.
It's because it's just one moment. And plus another thing with reach is I'll use the term long puncher. Kelvin Gastelum is a long puncher, meaning that these guys rotate even more. So when people say, they should judge, length of your arms or whole width, because when you rotate, how much you reach, just reach out with your arm and then rotate, along your spinal axis, it lengthens more.
Yeah.
And then some guys come forward more. There's all these different aspects. He has a knack for like range control. He leads with his head and he kind of gets you to open up and counter. But Calvin, some of these guys, they put you into a trance or into their sequence of thinking where they can lead, where he just had him where I jab body coming here, I feint, I cross, I step lateral, and he put Calvin in his dance where he was controlling the movements. So I think it's more predictive things that were going on. He could predict when Calvin was going to strike and how he was going to, and having that advantage will just start killing the reach.
Yeah, to your point, because if you're standing there and you bend your spine forward and you leave with you just added 4 inches to your reach without through your torso or through your lumbar spine, and been watching sport for a long time, and maybe it's finally I'm seeing things I never saw, but I feel like in this fight I noticed more than I ever have Max landing punches at the end of his punch, where he had to get that full reach and rotation to make a contact, or else he would have missed. And there were a number of strikes where I noticed Calvin would miss Max barely. And maybe it's just that extra torso rotation, whatever it is, or just stepping a little bit more. But I feel like in this fight, I noticed Max landing the end of his punch, like really getting that last half inch to make contact with the nose or the forehead or the cheek.
I mean, there's a whole world. You can it depends on how conceptual versus specific you want to get. There'd be someone just fucking tripping, and then it could lead into something else. But predictive, knowing what the other person is going to do or distribute like probabilities of what they do. And then there's just reaction. How much, how fast your signal goes to your brain and then sends it out to its motor units and can move it. Like all these little things can start adding up into different percentages where you almost can't even say it's one specific thing. Yeah. Maybe one guy just has to take a dump more than the other guy that day. But then there's also with range is footwork, foot speed. Like Khabib has ridiculously fast feet.
I think that's, you mentioned that like with like the shorter wrestler types, a lot of times their feet are so quick, they can create range by stepping and moving forward at a blink of an eye.
Yeah, and
close that distance.
Max's strike variety was what I was like. I mean, I was breathing heavy during this fight. I was liking it. And my girlfriend came in. She's like, "Why are you just in your briefs? You were in boxer briefs earlier. Like you had to specifically change into those." And I said, Max's strike variety, babe. He had the head and the body, hands and the feet, leads and counters. He was controlling the dance, and he put, Kattar into his trance or whatever you want to call it. Front kicks, knees to the body, big step and elbow at the end of round 2. And I noticed he was kicking more even versus Volkanovski in the second fight. And he seemed like he had a little bit more head movement too. Max has to start worrying about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Max gets hit too. And he's facing guys. And my dad mentioned this. And then he mentioned Muhammad Ali also, just kind of like talking about different things. And I said, I guess the one thing that Max has is that he's getting hit by a lot lighter guys. Muhammad Ali was getting hit by big heavyweights, plus boxing is like made to, you only get hit in the head and will keep you kind of semi-conscious with these gloves.
Yeah, we discussed this. I just had a massive brain dump right there. Maybe it'll come back to me.
It's all right. Well, the scorecards 50-43, 50-43, 50-42. I'm willing to call that a TKO.
Unreal.
Can I call a decision a TKO? Can I switch it after a certain score? It's like a mercy rule.
Did someone say that on the card? Because I had a very similar thought. Whereas like if you're up by more than 10 runs in the third inning of a T-ball game, they just call the game. Like, okay, we've seen enough. Yeah. So I had that effect a little bit as well. That's what I was saying. Max, it seemed like his elbows were far more prolific than in maybe his entire career combined. Like he was landing a lot of those.
Maybe his hands started hurting, so he just started throwing elbows. After number 600.
That could be like like a survival mechanism where like my hands hurt. I better throw bows. And maybe he developed a new tool instinctively because he never threw them like that before.
Well, that is a survival instinct because when you don't fight with gloves or your hand wrapped, a lot of guys started using palm strikes.
That's right.
Because you're going to break your hands.
I feel like was a big palm striker.
And what about Gladiator, the movie with Horn?
I don't remember the characters.
Every 50 episodes, we have to talk about Gladiator, not Russell Crowe, but the other one.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wait.
That one.
Oh, no. Or am I thinking of Diggstown? I don't know. Brian Dennehy puts his head down, and that's how he gets the boxers to break their hands.
That's Gladiator.
Okay.
Cuba Gooding Jr.'s in it, I'm pretty sure. Listen, we bring up Gladiator on the show every 6 months. We're contractually obligated to do it.
We both picked Max, so pat on the back. And then people would say, oh my God, it's Max Holloway. You picked him. It was obvious. Well, actually the opening odds were Max minus 135, Kattar plus 115.
Yeah.
So
pretty close.
Big Paul did make it into this episode again. He was obsessed with Max's body. He thought Max's body looked different and more muscular.
I thought it looked smaller. Maybe he was just like leaner, less body fat. But there was a few times I'm like, his arms seem smaller to me, like more pogo stick like.
I thought he was just more tan. And then,
you know what? It's his hair. None of those things are true. His hair's different.
Well, that's what I was obsessed with. I couldn't get down to his body because I stopped at his head. Where I wouldn't mind if he was blessed. He could also be Max Samson Holloway, and I would be okay with it because it's literal. Ponzinibbio getting KO'd brought a tear to my eye. Am I pathetic?
No. Here's my take on that fight. And I haven't watched Ponzinibbio fight, in 17, 18 years. So I don't, his most recent fights are on my recollection, but my man's chin was out there dangling and maybe a little bit of ring rust. It was up, man. And even before, I still can't say, I listened to them pronounce this guy's name. I don't know, 17 times during the broadcast, and I studied it. And now that we're here, I can't say it. And I just want to say Yingling.
Dude, that's what I told you to call him from now on. Yingling, call him whatever you want as long as I know what you're saying and others know. That's what language and communication is.
This is correct. But I don't know. That's why I sent the F in the thread, the second one.
Oh, okay.
Like, tragic, man. But he'll be back. It's ring rust. I mean, I know Cruz says ring rust doesn't exist, but maybe for him it doesn't. Maybe he just told himself that to hype himself up. But I believe it exists. If you haven't fought in 2 years or 17 years, whatever the time frame is, there'll be a little bit of ring rust. So it is what it is. He'll be back. Hopefully we don't see another 2-year layoff or whatever it was. But
he definitely looked off. He's like jab, pull back, jab, pull back, jab, pull back. He just couldn't get it going. It's hard to tell how much it was the layoff versus, Jing Liang. That guy is
look at you, man.
That guy's an erratic.
You go to Anik School of Pronunciation?
Poor man's Anik right here. That guy's an erratic feint machine. I mean, he never stops. And then he had this slip, right hand, big advance where you step forward with your foot and you cover more ground and it switches you in the southpaw stance, and then a left hand with a slip. It was perfect. I mean,
whoa!
I should give him technique of the night.
Been going to broadcasting school?
What?
The way you rolled your R there in perfect? I thought you were Tony the Tiger for a second, man. I'm embarrassed to even speak right now with this nasally voice. Have you been doing like voice classes or something? You have a voice coach?
What is the worst voice ever? What is his damn it. I was gonna say, what's his
I'm the Fran Drescher of podcast hosts.
I was going to say this segment is brought to you by Frosted Flakes. Sorry.
I got, you know what? Nothing to add there. You summed it up beautifully with that rolled R, and I don't even want to speak here. I'm done.
Oh, well, brother Mark said something. He said, if I get knocked out, immediately get off of me.
I agree.
You know, Lee was on him. So that's what I thought the same. I hate when guys do that. And some guys did that fake sincerity. So when I rewatched it again and I cried out of the other eye, I think it may have been Jing Liang apologizing for the extra shot he landed.
Okay.
So that's just what I think.
So I'll go on a little pet peeve rabbit hole here. Like, I don't remember this in the fight, but after Conor finished Don Cerrone.
No, Don.
Donald, though. I'm pretty sure he calls him Donald. He says, I love you, Donald, after he finishes him. Don't ever, if you finish me, don't hug me. Don't tell me you like me. Don't tell me you love me. Don't even fucking talk to me. Don't look at me. Look the other way. I don't want you sharing your bullshit feelings for me after you just KO'd me.
You're devastated.
Get the fuck out of here.
And what about kiss you?
Don, I can't. I'm embarrassed I even said that because fucking Conor threw me off with this.
What about kiss you?
Donald.
What about the guys who kissed I thought he kissed him on the forehead or something.
If we're in a war and lose a decision, all right, let's dap it up a little bit. But if you knock me out in 60 seconds, get out of my face. I want nothing to do with you. Anyway.
If a guy is doing that and comes up to a guy who's knocked out, I am completely okay with the guy who got knocked out punching that guy in the face.
I agree.
Or kick. I would lean back because I'm laying down. When he comes over me, I'm going to kick him right in his throat.
Like,
get away from me.
Yeah. I'm
and
on a stool.
Say I thought the fight was still going, so I don't get suspended. Go ahead.
100%.
Sorry.
Like I was, yeah. I'm post knockout.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Joaquin Buckley too goes out, man. Sad day around the UFC parts, man. Guy wins knockout of the year and then gets finished in his next fight.
And speaking of tear to my eye, when cousin Frank texted to the thread,
how about that?
That's the first thing he thought of was, because I'll always talk about the head kick. You got to throw it, even if it's blocked. A lot of times you block with your hand. Boss Rutan always used to say that. Hold your hand against your face and then let me hit you and see how it goes. But that back of the head, however, the impact, the foot catches the back of it. It's what always happens.
We've seen killer head kick knockouts, but we keep seeing more that don't really connect as cleanly, but it takes guys out. I think we've been seeing more of them lately than ever before.
And good, maybe people are throwing it more. And Buckley looked so small there. I mean, he weighed in at 185 for this fight, but the last fight he weighed in at 182, he was noticeably smaller. And I was obsessed once the fight started. I was like, oh my God, his days are numbered in this event. He is too small. He's not that special. Yeah. Meaning, like, yeah, he had his fucking spectacular knockout against a guy with a Wikipedia page. He has some athleticism, but I don't know if he is a special talent. And I was just like, oh my God, I was so obsessed about it. I was talking about it. And then he got head kicked. So
let's say so just to kind of had a random player looking at the bonus awards, 10, obviously the highest. 1 is shit. What kind of consolation prize for Kattar is it to get 50 G's? On a scale of 1 to 10, 50 G's extra.
10 in the fact, I don't know. I guess what am I comparing it to? 10. I'm always like, it's better than nothing. So it's like a 10 to me.
Hey, listen, actually, that's like,
I expect the worst, man. But I work at a hospital. I see people with fucking brains blown out. Like I expect the worst. I'm like, anything is good. I'm like, I'm that guy who you got your health. I'm that guy, even though I don't say that.
I just noticed your background is perfectly symmetrical in the camera. You did that on purpose, man.
I mean, I tried to get it in a good range, but
it looks good, man. We got to put a video on Instagram, cut me out of it, and just like who's Paul talking to?
Well,
we'll keep my audio in, just not my visual.
I just have the other side of the video. I'll just run a loop where I'm just nodding.
Or
like I'm talking to me.
So like they do on YouTube, like they'll just have like an image and they have audio over it. You know what? I have a Zoom image that's programmed in here. I just put that up. My face.
See,
shot.
here's the thing. I have the stupid, boring foam pads. Like you actually have an authentic background where it's like, oh, like there's a piece of paper in there. So you didn't clean it too much where it's fake, but hey, there's wine in there. Oh, I noticed that kind of wine. Like me, you're just like, I don't notice anything except a stupid crinkle. But I'm like analyzing your stuff back there.
You know what? I think we're balanced. We a wide spectrum of backgrounds. And
Oh,
that by the way, is a ZZ plant. That thing started smaller than the wine bottle. Look how big it is now.
What
Never
is it
been
called?
outside. ZZ. Z-E-Z-E.
ZZ plant?
ZZ
Any relation
plant.
to ZZ Top?
I think it's their cousin.
Oh, Z-E-E-Z-E-E.
Oh, is there two Z's?
Oh, Zanzibar gem?
Yep.
Oh, you want some good stuff? Zanzibar is like the Tanzania area. Do you know who was born in Zanzibar? That doesn't exist anymore. I would be absolutely astounded if you guessed. I mean, you might guess someone who was born there, but I don't know if you're guessing at the specific person I'm thinking.
Genghis Khan.
No, I'll give you a hint in that. First of all, I have to double check before I say something stupid. Okay.
Is it a historical figure or like they died recently?
Recently.
Okay.
Meaning 1900s.
Okay.
So this person was super famous. And like more people or most people, they have a fake name that you probably didn't realize was a fake name. They're a singer.
They died in the 1900s. Singer. What are they? Is it a black person? Is it a white person? Is it a...
That's where you could get some trickery here. I could see that, especially when you're thinking of Africa. When I'm always watching my historical stuff, my girlfriend came and was like, why is there so many white people in Africa? And then we had to go into stuff like Southern Rhodesia and all that stuff. They are considered one of the greatest singers ever. It is
Elvis Presley.
It is a male.
Elvis Presley.
Nope, it's a male. And you want me to give you their real first name?
All right, we're by the way, we're customizing right now officially, because I'll play this game forever.
Farouk Balsara.
It's a male singer.
Farouk. I should have my girlfriend come in here and say that name for me.
Of a band?
No, that's their real. They were in a band.
They were in a band, so it's a band, or is it like a?
No, this is the singer.
So it's a solo singer.
No, he sings in a band. He is a member of the band. But he's so big that he's almost his own name. But I don't know if he ever sung without him. Farouk Balsara.
And they died this century.
No, last century.
Wait, that's what I meant, last century.
Yeah. The band's name is a one word.
Dude, just like you had like a weird, and you go think about like Ottoman Empire. I can't even focus my brain. Think about any band besides like the Beatles or some shit like that.
Okay, it's later than the Beatles.
So not Mick Jagger.
Nope.
Kiss.
Oh, good guess. No.
Guns N' Roses. I'm just naming bands.
Nope. It's just one word though.
That's right. Metallica.
No, this person is dead.
But they came after the Beatles.
Their popularity, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
If anybody gets this before I do, let us know. Send us a DM on Insta. Fucking one.
They died of an epidemic that occurred in the 1900s. So I guess you have to guess what the epidemic is.
When did the band play music, though? What decade?
Fuck, man, I don't know. 80s, 70s, 70s, 80s, something like that.
And they have a fucking, what epidemic occurred in the 70s and 80s and 90s? AIDS?
Yeah.
Queen.
Yep.
Queen.
Well, who is it? But that's not guessing the person.
Freddie Mercury.
Yep.
Did I
Freddie
get it?
Mercury was born in Zanzibar.
Fuck yeah.
Farouk Balsara.
I'm going to pat myself on the back here so ferociously. Once we're done, I'm going to leave. I'm going to get some fucking fast food. I might stop by 2 or 3 places. I am going to celebrate this momentous occasion like I haven't in a long time.
So your plant reminds me, because it's technically a Zanzibar gem, your plant I see Freddie Mercury's face when I
might start calling it Freddie.
And people will be like, oh, why? And then you just come in there with the stats. And they're like, oh my God.
Is it Zanzibar?
Yeah, Zanzibar.
Okay.
Zanzibar gem.
I may need a refresher on that pronunciation though.
Yeah, and his family, when I looked, I just remember looking into that and everything. But he is, speaking of Ottoman Empire. Oh no, I guess that wouldn't be. Oh yeah, sort of. Well, from there eventually. Persian. Where is he? He is Zanzibar Persian. I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But I don't know. That's all I got, man.
Let's get the fuck out of here.